Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is smash the like button the way that female high school teachers smash their students, so this video reaches a wider audience. And now on with the memes. Number one, a Middle Eastern prince paid $500,000 for a chat with Kristen Stewart at a Hurricane Sandy charity auction. I'm sure he got a lot more than that. I'm sure that was just a code word for cooch. She's into chicks, but I'm sure she made an exception for a shake here. It doesn't matter how much simps out there protest and try to prove that they just had a conversation. We all know that nothing in this world is free unless you're a kid and it's Christmas. Up next, listen to the way that the lamestream media is wording this story. They say that what began as a routine home invasion quickly turned into a frightening scene for the suspects after the resident started to defend himself. This is in the communist Bay Area where criminals have more rights than the homeowners. It was a mostly peaceful home invasion until the violent homeowners started savagely defending their lives and property. Oh no, those poor home invaders. Will someone please think of the criminals? Number three, there are 50 million Muslims in Europe and 40 million of them are on welfare, and they take 77% of the immigrant welfare costs. This ends when Europe is bankrupt and the Muslims will loot then, as well as pillage and burn the place down. If you have any ancestors in the Balkans, then you see this is insanity because they defended Europe with their lives for centuries, and now Western Europe is just letting them in. Then again, maybe if they simply remove the benefits, 40 million will just self-deport. Time will tell. Moving on, here's your four choices. Choose wisely. The answer, of course, is Britney Spears. Always Britney, because the crazy ones are the best in bed. But that would only be fun for a short ride, and she's handy with knives and could defend you really well from home invaders. And just the sight of her twirling those things frightens those suspects. Also, Britney wasn't crazy in her prime. Cover your eyes because here are all the same women if they were more liberal than they currently are. Number five, grade schools spend 17 grand a year per pupil, but homeschooling costs only about $1,000 a year. But 33% of homeschool students are literate versus 99% of homeschoolers. Not exactly. This is propaganda. It just means that only 33% of kids read at or above their grade level. Homeschooling is great in theory so long as you socialize your kids properly. Otherwise, they might get avoidant personality disorder. If I had kids and could afford it, I'd send them to a 50 grand a year private school. Not because they would learn more, but because they would make lifetime connections with other rich kids. Up next, more and more companies are about to face things like this, with AI making up analytics numbers for 3 months. Relax, dude, it's just hallucinating. But seriously, so many companies report the same thing, and 96% of industries say it hasn't increased any productivity. Sure, AI is great in creative fields like music, where 40% of all new music is now made with artificial intelligence, and soon film and television too. But those are fields that don't deal with facts. And it's going to take a while before AI agents get good at precise tasks that make calculations. Number seven, why does this happen? That there are $64 billion worth of remittances from the United States to Mexico each year, and that there are 39 million Mexicans in America. Imagine how much money has been taken out of the U.S. economy and sent south of the border over the last 50 years or so. Even if the United States were to force proof of citizenship to send international remittances, people would still find ways around it by using something like Bitcoin or crypto. The only solutions might be deportations. Moving on, is this outfit appropriate for a teacher? Yes, but only if she's trying to sleep with her students or teaching biology and has to do some show and tell regarding the female anatomy. Her fun bags and face look great, but I'm getting soft looking at those fat knees. This is so much better because she's hiding her knees now. AI is getting out of hand. Elon needs to hurry up building Neuralink so we can all sleep with whoever we want in a simulation. Number 9, check out these Indians in Japan. They're about to be deported unless they have 30 million yen or about 190,000 US dollars in their bank accounts, if they want to stay for a minimum of 6 months to a year. Looks like multiculturalism is worse than being nuked twice. The majority of immigrants in Japan are Chinese, Vietnamese, as well as South Korean, so they're invisible. That's fine and their cultures are kind of compatible. Ultimately, this isn't. Up next, and speaking of India, here's a gas station sign in India telling people not to smoke. Because while your life might be worthless, the station's petrol is very expensive. I guess that when there are a billion Indians, life is kind of cheap. Of course, these days, if you say anything that Indians don't like, then they can pretty much say it's just artificial intelligence. Here's the full picture, and it's definitely real. The sign is hilarious, and we need stuff like this in the West because it's true. Number 11, studies show that 2 hours of silence can spark the growth of new brain cells. Yet more proof that using a smartphone all day is making you dumber. Constant noise, while it might not seem like a big deal, puts your mind at high alert. Quiet allows your mind to have some downtime from perceived risks. When the mind doesn't have external stimulation, it focuses on building and strengthening neural connections instead. Maybe that's why old people want quiet, because they're trying to hold on to their intelligence. Moving on, here's how much crime in Canada has gone up over the last 10 years. Almost everything is doubled or tripled. You'd expect the prison population to have gone up as well, but it hasn't. There were 41,000 convicts in 2013, and that declined to 38,000 now. Looking at these stats, you think that more criminals would be behind bars. They aren't, because Canada's grown soft on crime and the courts are just a revolving door. And you just know that mass migration of Jeets is causing this. Number 13, don't date or marry college-educated women, because 80 to 90% of them initiate divorces. The only long-term relationships I've ever had with women that hardly finished high school. When you're the smart one in the relationship, then they're more likely to take on your frame, at least at first. But over time, they become more confident and bold, expecting you to live life on their terms, even when you're bringing most of the value in. No thank you. Meanwhile, in Australia, here are the Band 6 achievers. For a moment, I thought this was an ISIS recruiting poster, and I don't see any Australians here. At least I got to see Australia in 2005 before all this nonsense happened. The major cities are falling to the scams of the Jeets, and it won't be much longer until they're everywhere. The South Asian population has increased quickly in Australia since the pandemic. Will this ever stop? Number 15, and speaking of Indians, Google's Sundar Pichai says that people are copying its AI without permission, much the same way they scraped everyone else's data to train theirs. Just because they're allowed to steal doesn't mean you are. Google's entire business model is built on using other people's data. Everything from my websites back in the day, my YouTube videos, collecting my consumer data and selling it to advertisers. I'm not complaining though, because I've made tons of money from them, but this could be the beginning of the end. Moving on, here's the difference between how trans men see themselves and how they actually look. Looks like yet another Elliot Page wannabe on the right. That reminds me, I need to get a Hawaiian shirt to go with the tiki bar that I'm building. For some reason, years ago I started collecting native masks, mounted butterflies and 1950 stuff, and one day I looked at it all and said, I have enough stuff to start a tiki bar. So now it's time to make one, just not a tacky one. The person on the right won't be invited to it. Number 17, welcome to the world's quietest room at negative 24.9 decibels. It's so silent that you can hear your blood flowing. No one has lasted more than an hour inside. I'm thinking I can probably live in there, as I hear every tiny noise like creaking floorboards and distant airplanes, and they drive me crazy. But I can't imagine my own body driving me crazy and hearing my own heartbeats. It's in Minnesota and they offer tours. Imagine how loud a fart would be in there. Up next, the Netherlands is going to be bringing in a tax on unrealized capital gains starting in 2028. But if you're thinking of getting away without paying your fair share, they've introduced a new exit tax, and you will still be taxed 5 years after leaving the country. I'm guessing that most Western countries will start doing this as their welfare states crumble, so that your wealth can then bring in more Jeets and Mohammeds. It's time to get legal tax avoidance strategies in place as quickly as you can. Number 19, would you look at this? All 50 states have a fertility rate below 2.1. The only one that's close to replacement levels is South Dakota. People say it's because of the high cost of living, but I think it's because humans have too much stimulation and dopamine running through our veins. And life is also way too easy, even though it doesn't seem like it. Not to mention, many of us are also too self-absorbed and lazy to have children. We need robo-nannies and artificial wombs, or the species is toast. Moving on, Canadians keep complaining about the cost of food inflation. I'm in the States and I'm paying the same or more for food in American dollars when I do the currency conversion. The reason Americans aren't complaining is because they've been paid 30 to 40% more than Canadians. The incomes of Canadians haven't kept up with the majority of the food companies priced in US dollars. So as Canadian productivity falls, the cost of food will continue to go up relative to that. Number 21, returning to the theme of Japan, here are the parts of the country and their largest foreign national groups. Why are there so many Brazilians? Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Brazil has the largest Japanese community outside of Japan. So I wouldn't be surprised if many of their descendants returned. They aren't really Brazilians. Wouldn't that be something, big booty Brazilian babes wandering around in Tokyo? Up next, when you zoom out, here's what the climate crisis really looks like. Temperatures have been rising, but they're still in the relatively safe zone, as you can see at the bottom. In 80,000 years, the entire northern hemisphere will be covered by a mile of ice, unless we warm things up. So we might actually do ourselves a favor by warming the planet. Top climate scientists were also told to cover up the fact that the Earth's temperature hasn't gone up for the last 15 years. Number 23 looks like there's strong evidence in the Epstein files that Bill Gates knew about the COVID pandemic 10 years before it happened, and that it was all kind of planned out. I wouldn't be surprised, and it wasn't a way to make money directly off the vaccines, but off the government bailouts which fueled inflation. Because of the emergency financial response, Gates' fortunes actually went up from 98 billion all the way up to 130. Moving on, here's a very true statement that people have a million priorities until they lose their health. Then they only have one, their health. That's partially why I'm in Florida, because I can heal my psoriasis fully if I stay for an extended period of time, with high humidity and higher temperatures. I'm not getting that in Toronto, and I need about a year away from the cold for things to completely get better. Remember, guys, health is wealth. Here I am trading my wealth for health. Number 25 on the last one, people say it's wonderful to see so many girls spending quality time with their dads in Las Vegas. That's not her father, though. It looks like Richard Cooper taking his girlfriend to a high-end restaurant. Once again, this just proves that men with money and status don't lose their value to the opposite sex until the day they die. Only a fool thinks that that's her daddy when we all know that's her sugar daddy. So that's it for another Memes of the Week. Please give this video a like to push it up in the algorithm and so new viewers can find it. If you enjoy this series and want me to keep making it, then donate it to PayPal and Subscribestar links. Anyways, enjoy the rest of your day, and cheers.